Migration, both internal and international, is not a new phenomenon. Migration for work has historically been a path to prosperity for millions globally, including India.
In any country, including India, internal migrants are much more prone to face issues in relation to health, service, food and other social programs. They are vulnerable to the loss of employment and wages during as an economic crisis.
Labor governance is really the key, not just in India but the whole world.
This group deals with precarity and remains exposed to unsafe working conditions, often underpaid and overworked. Women represent a significant share of migrant workers in both elementary occupations like domestic work and professional and high-skilled sectors like healthcare.
When we need data about migrant workers, we also need data about the family men. There is absence of coordination framework between source and destination states.
It's no understatement to say that many of the global goals, upwards of half of those targets, live here in India, and migrant laborers are a key part of the solution.
I believe the ILO, which is a wonderful tripartite mechanism which brings labor and employers together, can play a much larger role in ensuring that migrant workers receive the full protection of all the conventions, all the laws and the basic human rights principle.
The onus is on the migrant workers, how they build resilience, how they create mechanisms to deal with their issues. And inclusiveness, this is what the trade unions have been continuously asking. Include the trade unions in the discussion to talk about the challenges as well as look at solutions.
In a nutshell, what I would like to say something about the migration as a whole. Well, today's discussion about internal migrations, we focus more on the informalities and specific issues like the social protection, occupational safety and health, skills gap issues, sectoral policy. It's not new by the concern for the ministries, but for this time as to how we can address these issues for this the cohort of the people called internal migrant workers. That should be considered from the policy perspectives.
We from the External Affairs work very closely with different entities in the Government of India, including the Ministry of Labour and Employment, the National Skill Development Corporation and state governments, where the External Affairs Ministry reaches out to various state governments all across India, especially those who are sending workers in a large number.
So my key takeaway from the past 2 days is for resilient policy institutions, for safe labour migration, is that cooperation is key. Cooperation between everyone, between the governments, between the states, with social partners, with employers and workers and civil society and academia. That's the only way we can bring together all the relevant actions to make rights-based, inclusive and sustainable policies for safe labour migration.
Migrant workers are a subset of the broader informal workforce, and a greater access to these essential conditions of work that should govern any healthy, forward-looking, progressive economy and society need to be put in place for all workers, including migrant workers.
There is one very important and simple principle to be followed, which is in the ILO conventions, ILO Convention 143, that there should be equal treatment between nationals and migrants in employment and working conditions. So this is the most simple and basic rule for you to remember and follow and apply, whereas international migration is concerned. It can impact many people within the country, not just internal migrants, like occupational health and safety. There can be other vulnerable groups as well. but it's important to pick up what particular vulnerabilities interstate migrants are facing. For example, if they move with children, what kind of childcare or educational facilities they have, the portability of benefits. So it's important to identify the differences, the specific vulnerabilities, and address those.
All the UN agencies present in India, and also those who are based outside but also to some extent contributing towards the Indian achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, play a role in making the situation for migrant workers better and improved. And that means also better outcomes for employers, and also, of course, the society at large. And in that sense, it's true, it cuts across, we work together. And also on the government side, this holds very true.
The benefits of well-governed, fair and effective labor migration is plain to see. More jobs, better jobs, fairer jobs, a bigger economy, prosperity and productive communities across the country.